This is what you should not do when you travel Borneo. Originally, I started this video 2 days ago when I traveled to Kota Kinabalu from Kuching and then onwards to Sandakan. However, a lot has happened since then, and a lot of chaotic clips and stress and a lot of stress talking. So I'm gonna break it down and we're just gonna start fresh and start from here. Right now is high season here in Borneo, which means that everything is booked. And when I say everything, I mean everything. I did not expect it to be this busy. So when I wanted to book a tour for the Kinabatangan river, I don't think that's how you say it, but that's what we're going with, I found out that pretty much everything was booked. Now, I got in contact with a man who is very knowledgeable when it comes to wildlife, but he's a bit of a... he's not a very nice guy. So come a few days ago when I was in Kuching, I thought, you know, we're just gonna see if we can book any other tour. If there's anything else available, I'll take anything at this point just so that I don't have to go with that man, because I'd been looking at his reviews and a lot of reviews were now saying not just that he's an ass, but also that he kind of scams people. Now, I looked on the website Seek Sophie again, and this is the company that I ended up going with. But I booked on their website, and at this point it was July 26th. And when I looked on the website, again, on me, I should have checked better, but it said that everything until the 27th you can book, which I thought would make sense because, you know, today is the 26th, and then it might make sense that you cannot book for tomorrow anymore. And I thought, you know, this makes sense to me, that only from the 28th onwards you can book. Fast forward, I get here to Sepilog, and there's this girl in my dorm room who says, oh, I made a mistake. I booked 2 weeks ago, but I accidentally booked for August. And I was like, if you booked 2 weeks ago and wasn't available for July, why would mine be available for July? So I checked, booked for August. I didn't realize it because it just so happened that it was the 26th and you could only book 28th onwards, which I thought made sense, but it was just a coincidence that everything up until the 26th of August had been sold. So the past 24 hours, I've emailed them saying, look, I made a mistake. I'm so sorry. Can I switch it? Because the girl who told me about it, who made the same mistake, could switch it. She is on the tour for the 29th of July. I've asked if they have a twin room for me available. That would mean that it's 50 euros across 3 days, which is a lot more money. I feel like not doing it, I would regret it more than spending the 50 bucks. Don't do what I did. And if you come here in high season, be prepared. I am packing up my stuff and then we're off to the jungle. I am very excited and I'm really curious to see how this one stacks up to the jungle in Sumatra. Obviously it's gonna be different, but I wonder if it's the same, which one I'm gonna like more. But yeah, very excited. I look rough, I know, but I've made it to my accommodation, and in case you're wondering what a twin room would look like, I've got 2 beds, so I'm doing 1 bed for me and then 1 stuff bed, and I've even got some chairs that you can sit in, and then I've got a private bathroom, which I think is amazing. So just down here, then you've got a toilet and a shower. Now the way this works is we got picked up around 1, driven here. After check-in it is now 3:25, so we spent about half an hour doing like the briefing and stuff, and now I've got half an hour before we need to be back at the boat. So today on your first day you do a cruise at 4, it's about 2 hours, which gets you back at 6, and then tonight you have dinner at 6:30 I think until 7. And then I think from 7:30 to 9 or 9:30 you do another night cruise, and then anybody who leaves after 1 night will only do the cruise tomorrow morning and then leave. But if you're doing 2 nights like I am, then you'll have longer here. I will say I thought that we would be a little bit more, I guess, secluded, but honestly you're just on the main road. There's a bunch of lodges and I don't know, it's not, it is the jungle or the rainforest, but it's not really the rainforest experience that I anticipated. I thought we'd be more secluded maybe, but still I'm very excited, and hopefully we will see the Borneo Big 5. We just returned from our first cruise and we saw 4 out of 5 of the Borneo Big 5. We just didn't see the orangutan. It was absolutely amazing, but I've got about 10 minutes before dinner starts, and after dinner we're doing a night cruise, so I don't have a whole lot of time, but that was absolutely insane. The sunset is absolutely gorgeous, and I wanted to fly the drone over the river, and I asked the woman at reception. I don't think she fully understood the question. She didn't really seem to know what I was talking about and just said no. I don't want to be the tourist that does it anyway, so she said no, so I'm not gonna do it. But I think if you just hadn't asked, they wouldn't have known. But yeah, still pretty sunset. Can't really show it to you, but we're gonna have dinner. It's gonna be like a buffet style, it's all included, and then we do a night cruise. Good morning from the river. It is day 2 and we have some exciting plans. Starting in like 5 minutes, we are going to do a morning cruise and we're hopefully gonna spot some animals. Not sure how well we can spot animals in the morning because last night during the night cruise, it was nice, but we didn't really see anything too special. I don't think we'll get as lucky as yesterday seeing 4 out of 5 of the Borneo Big 5 today, but I'm really hoping maybe we'll see an orangutan so we can just, see all 5. That would be absolutely amazing. But for now we're doing a morning cruise from 6 until 7:30 I believe, and then we're gonna do breakfast, and I'm not sure what the plan is after that, but I'm sure it'll be great. So let's hop into a boat and get back on the water. We've made it back from the morning cruise. It was really cool. We saw lots of crocodiles, even a crocodile that was like 4 or 5 meters long. And as sad as it was, there was a dead dog on the riverbank, and we saw one of the crocodiles like take it, eat it, and pull it back into the water. Again, kind of morbid, but still kind of cool to see. Now we just had breakfast, which was absolutely amazing, so many choices, and now we are going to do a jungle walk. So the way the jungle walk works is you have to put on long pants, long t-shirts, like long sleeve t-shirts, because of the mosquitoes, and it gets a lot more humid underneath the canopies. So there's going to be a lot more mosquitoes, and then we do get rubber boots from them, but I think the sizing goes up to 10 or 11, so like 44. So if you've got big feet, might be worth bringing hiking boots, but I think I'm okay. So I'm going to see if I can get some rubber boots, and then we are off on a jungle walk, which is very exciting. I hope we see some things. Still really hoping we'll see an orangutan, because that means that I've seen the Big 5 here in Kinabatangan River. If not, I've still seen it, so it's not the end of the world, but it would be cool to see. we've made it back from our jungle walk. It was nice, but wasn't anything too nice. We didn't see any of the animals, which apparently is very rare to see any. We saw lots of insects and trees. There's usually a trail that you can do to a very popular cave, but because there have been sightings of elephants in nearby villages, we had to stay near the river so that if we did see an elephant, we could go back to the boat and leave because it wouldn't be safe. And we didn't see any elephants. We did see elephant tracks. They were quite old, but we couldn't really go that far, which was kind of sad. But now we have about an hour and a half off. It's just after 11, I think, 11:11. And then at 12:30 we have got lunch until 1:30, and then at 1:30 we've got free time until 3. At 3 I think we're doing some kind of theater explanation video. I'm not entirely sure, but I think more about the history of this place and the region. So that'll be from 3 until 4, and then at 4 we do the same thing as yesterday, which is an afternoon cruise, then dinner, and then usually you do a night walk, but again with the elephants they're not risking it, so they've changed the night walk to a night cruise. Still gonna be cool, still gonna be fun. Honestly, might even prefer it. And I'm really hoping we'll see an orangutan. I highly doubt it, but I'm curious to see what the afternoon cruise today brings, because yesterday the afternoon cruise was amazing. We saw 4 out of 5 of the Borneo Big 5. Absolutely lovely. So I'm excited, but first things first, it's time for lunch. I feel like every time I return I'm a mess, but we just went on the afternoon cruise. I am not entirely sure what I've said so far, but after lunch we just went to a room where they had a lot of like different stuff from like the past and what they used to use like back in the old days, which was really cool. We just, I kind of want to say walked around, but it's like one room, but our guide took us around and he explained a few things. It was really cool. And then at 4 we took a night cruise. We saw proboscis monkeys, we saw hornbills again, and we saw lots of macaque monkeys, like longtail, pigtail, all of those. Now we didn't see an orangutan, and we do have a night cruise tonight, but I doubt we'll see an orangutan then. And then tomorrow morning, I thought we were doing a morning cruise, but apparently you have to pay about 60 ringgit to do the actual morning cruise. So I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna do it. I haven't really decided yet. I've already spent quite a lot more money on this tour than I anticipated. Then again, it's only 60. I mean, it is another 60, so haven't fully decided on what I'm gonna do yet, but for now we'll see what the evening brings us. We saw lots of cool things, and even if we don't see the orangutans, we saw 4 out of 5 of the Borneo Big 5, so I'm quite happy. I'm gonna take a quick shower and then head to dinner because I'm quite hungry actually. You know, even though we sit on a boat all day and do nothing, maybe it's the fresh air, I don't know, but I could eat. So I'm gonna rinse off and then head to dinner. I can explain. I know you just saw drone footage, and I know earlier in the video I said that you could not fly a drone here, but again, I can explain. So I was just in my room before dinner, and all of a sudden I heard the noise of a drone going up outside. So I opened the door, and like my next door neighbors, they were putting up a drone. So I was like, are you putting up a drone? Obviously yes. So they said yes. And I asked, did you ask for permission? And they said yes. And I was like, did they say it was okay? And they said yes. They said that as long as you fly over the lodge, it's fine and you don't go anywhere else. I told them what I'd been told, but again, I don't think the woman fully understood the question. And if they've asked and they said it was fine to them, then of course I'm gonna join. And so I was respectful. I didn't fly anywhere else than over the lodge and like just a tiny bit like past the lodge and over the river, not even like halfway on the river, but if you go high enough you can just see the view anyways. Absolutely stunning, absolutely gorgeous, but that's why there is drone footage. Now I am a little bit in a rush because in about 5 to 10 minutes we are doing a night cruise. I don't know how much we'll actually see there, but it'll be cool to check out. So I've changed into like long sleeves and long pants because of the mosquitoes. It's quite hot now, but it really cools down during the evening, to be honest. So I am going to grab the rest of my stuff and head out, and we'll see what we can find. Hopefully some crocodiles. That'd be very, very cool. We've just made it back from the night cruise and it was really intense. So we saw a crocodile, which I think I got a video of. We saw a civet, I think is what you call them. Basically they're also known in like Indonesia, Vietnam, and I think the Philippines. They're the animal that eats the fruit, including the seed. They poop out the seed and they use that to make coffee. And apparently it's one of the rarest things to see here. Now, tried getting a picture, but it's too dark and it was completely blurry, but this is somewhat what it looked like. Good morning, it is day 3 of the tour and today we actually don't have anything planned. I thought that the morning cruise was included, but apparently it's not. So if you want to do the morning cruise, which is too late to do now, you have to pay about 67 ringgit extra, I believe. So that was just not in the budget since I spent so much more on the trip already. And I think we didn't really see anything during the morning cruise except for crocodiles, and it's very rare to see the orangutans in the morning. So I was like, I am just gonna skip it, and I think everybody that was on my boat is not gonna do it. But yeah, that was the 3-day 2-night tour here in Kinabatangan River, and I still don't think I'm saying that correctly. I think if you plan on doing it, book it with Seek Sophie, because since I was panic texting everybody, every tour company, every lodge, every guest house in the area for prices and if they had availability, I figured out that most places charge about 170, 180 bucks. But I'm not sure if they have dorm rooms, but they charge that for the 3-day 2-night tour. I paid 120 and then another 40 for the private room just because I couldn't get the dorm room. So if you book, like I'd say in high season, book 2 to 3 months in advance. In low season, I'm not sure, but if you know you're going, just book it. And I think you should get about the same price. I think it's definitely worth it. Also look into when elephant season is and when orangutan season is, if you really want to see one of the two like more than the other ones. So right now it's elephant season, which is why we saw elephants, and it's not orangutan season, so we didn't see the orangutans. But that's fine. I've seen orangutans in Indonesia and I've seen them in Sepilok. So I still kind of feel like I saw like the Borneo Big Five, sort of. But yeah, I've just packed my bags. I'm gonna head out for breakfast and then they are going to drive you to either Sepilok or Sandakan. I've asked them to drive me to Sandakan bus station because I will be taking the 8-hour bus to go to Kinabalu this afternoon. And from there on, we are going to spend our final, I think it's 2 days here in Borneo before finally going to Australia, which I am beyond excited about, but I also have at least one fun day planned in Kota Kinabalu, like doing a day trip. So I am not gonna take you along on the boring bus journey, so I will see you there. This was the 3-day 2-night tour, highly recommend, and I had an absolute great time. I will see you in the next one.